Wyoming jokes, state jokes. Short Wyoming jokes. Q. How do people in Wyoming celebrate Halloween? A. Pumpkin. Q. Why do ducks fly over Wyoming upside down? A. There's nothing worth craping on. Q. What's the difference between a University of Wyoming sorority sister and a scarecrow? A. One lives in a field and is stuffed with hay. The other frightens birds and small animals. Q. What's the most popular pickup line in Wyoming? A. Nice tooth. Q. Why do folks from Wyoming go to the movie theater in groups of 18 or more? A. 17 and under are not admitted. Q. Why did Wyoming raise the minimum drinking age to 25? A. They wanted to keep alcohol out of the high schools. Q. What does a Cowboys grad call a Broncos grad in 5 years? A. Boss. I'm not saying Wyoming Cowboys basketball players are dumb, but the coach is dressing 6 players for this Saturday's game. The rest will dress themselves. Q. Why is the Wave banned in War Memorial Stadium? A. 2 Cowboys fans drowned last year. Q. Why did the Wyoming Regents decide to cover War Memorial Stadium in cardboard? A. Because the Cowboys always look better on paper. Q. What happens when blondes move from Idaho to Wyoming? A. Both states become smarter. Q. Why aren't Wyoming cheerleaders allowed to do the splits? A. They stick to the ground. Q. Why do all the trees in Idaho lean east? A. Wyoming sucks. Q. What does a girl from Cheyenne do if she's not in bed by 10 p.m.? A. Go home. Q. Why do Wyoming Cowboys basketball players use body heat activated deodorant? A. Because it's the closet they will come to getting a degree. Q. Why do Laramie County Community College students have such beautiful noses? A. They're hand-picked. Q. Why did Wyoming disband its water polo team? A. All the horses drowned. Q. What's the difference between a Laramie County Community College diploma and toilet paper? A. About $50,000 per sheet. Q. What does it say on the back of every Laramie County Community College diploma? A. Will work for food. Q. Why did the Casper College grad cross the road? A. Better question, why is he out of jail? Q. How does a dumb blonde get into college? A. She applies to Laramie County Community College. Q. Why should the Wyoming Cowboys change their uniforms to orange? A. So they can play the game, direct traffic, and pick up trash without changing. Q. What's the one thing that keeps Cowboys basketball players from graduating? A. Going to class. Q. Why did the Wyoming Cowboys football team cross the road? A. Because it was easier than crossing the goal line. Q. How is a Laramie girl different from a bowling ball? A. Sometimes a bowling ball is hard to pick up. Q. What do Wyoming Catholic college grads use for birth control? A. Their personalities. Q. How do you break a Laramie County Community College grad's finger? A. Punch him in the nose. Q. How do you get a Wyoming Cowboys fan to laugh all weekend long? A. Tell him a joke Monday morning. Q. Why do Wyoming fans smell so bad? A. So blind people can hate them too. Q. Why did Wyoming change their field from grass to artificial turf? A. To keep the Cowboys cheerleaders from grazing the field at halftime. Q. Did you hear that 9 out of 10 coeds are good looking? A. The other one goes to Wyoming. Q. What's the difference between Laramie and yogurt? A. Yogurt has an active living culture. Q. Why do the Wyoming Cowboys eat cereal straight from the box? A. They choke whenever they get near a bowl. Q. What's the difference between War Memorial Stadium and a cactus? A. The cactus has its pricks on the outside. Q. What separates a good team from a great team? A. The Idaho-Wyoming border. Q. How do you confuse an Laramie County Community College student? A. You can't, they were born that way. Q. How do you get from Boise, ID to Laramie, WY? A. Go south until you smell shit and east until you step in it. Q. What will you never hear a Laramie County Community College grad say? A. I have reviewed your application. Q. Why couldn't the baby Jesus be born in Wyoming? A. Because they couldn't find 3 wise men or a virgin. Q. Why are there so many unsolved murders in Wyoming? A. There are no dental records and everyone has the same DNA. Q. How can you tell if someone in Wyoming is married? A. The tobacco spit stains are on both sides of his pickup truck. Q. Why do University of Wyoming grads keep their diplomas on their dashboards? A. So they can park in handicap spaces. Q. What do you call a good-looking girl on the University of Wyoming campus? A. A visitor. Q. Did you hear about the power outage at the University of Wyoming library? A. 30 students were stuck on the escalator for 3 hours. Q. What does the average University of Wyoming student get on his SAT? A. Drool. Q. How many University of Wyoming freshmen does it take to change a light bulb? A. None, it's a sophomore course. Q. If you have a car containing a Cowboys point guard, a Cowboys power forward, and a Cowboys center, who is driving the car? A. The cop. Q. What is the definition of safe sex down in Wyoming? A. Placing signs on the animals that kick. Q. How do you castrate a Wyoming Cowboys fan? A. Kick his sister in the mouth. Q. Why do Wyoming students have TGIF on their shoes? A. Toes go in first. Q. What do you get when you drive quickly through the Wyoming Cowboys campus? A. An undergraduate degree. Q. Why are rectal thermometers banned at the University of Wyoming? A. They cause too much brain damage. Q. What should you do if you find 3 University of Wyoming Cowboys fans buried up to their neck in cement? A. Get more cement. Q. What's the difference between an Wyoming Cowboys fan and a carp? A. One is a bottom-feeding scum sucker, and the other is a fish. Q. Why do they sell so many button-fly jeans in Wyoming? A. Because the sheep can hear the zippers a mile away. Q. How did the Wyoming grad die from drinking milk? A. The cow fell on him. Q. What is the definition of a Wyoming virgin? A. An ugly 12-year-old who can outrun her brothers. Q. What does a University of Wyoming fan do when his team has won the Final Four? A. He turns off the PlayStation 3. Q. What's the difference between a Wyoming football player and a dollar? A. You can get 4 quarters out of a dollar. Q. Did you hear that Wyoming's football team doesn't have a website? A. They can't string 3 Ws together. Q. How many Wyoming grads does it take to change a light bulb? A. None. Lava lamps don't burn out, man. Q. What are the best 4 years of an Wyoming grad's life? A. 3rd grade. Q. What does a Wyoming native and a bottle of beer have in common? A. They're both empty from the neck up. Q. What do tornadoes and graduates from the University of Wyoming have in common? A. They both end up in trailer parks. Q. How do they separate the men from the boys in Wyoming? A. With a restraining order. Q. What's the first thing a Wyoming girl does when she wakes up in the morning? A. Walks home. Q. What did the Wyoming female say after sex? A. Get off me, dad, you're crushing my smokes. Q. Why don't girls play hide and seek in Wyoming? A. No one would look for them. Elevator. A country bumpkin family from Wyoming decides to go to the Big Apple for the first time in their lives, Ma, Pa and their son. They go into the Empire State Building. As they're walking around they notice the elevator. Never seeing one before, they stand in front of it bewildered. While staring at it, an old lady in a wheelchair rolls up to it, pushes the button, the door opens, she rolls herself inside and the door closes. The Wyoming redneck family watches as the lights for each floor light as it goes up. They continue to watch as the numbers go down again. The door opens and out walks this tall, gorgeous blonde. Legs to her neck. Great figure. Beautiful. Pa looks at his son and says, "Quick boy, shove your ma in there." Sheep coitus. A man from Texas and a Wyoming man were driving along when all of a sudden the Texas man slams on the brakes. There was a sheep with her head stuck in the fence and the Texas man said, "We Texans never pass up an opportunity like this." And he gets out and has his way with the sheep. Then he says to the Wyoming man, "Your turn." And the Wyoming man bends over and sticks his head in the fence. Cemetery. One day this kid and his mom were walking past a cemetery when they passed a grave and the kid stopped to read it. He read aloud, "Here lies a Wyoming graduate and a great Manitoba." The kid then says, "Mom, I don't get it." The mom says, "Why not?" The kid says, "Why are there two people buried here?"